Hi, this is Chuck Boyce, and I want to welcome you to the latest episode of Tuesday Pulse AI. Today we're going to talk about validating before you invest. Smart decisions for small business owners. Why validation matters. In today's session, we want to talk about validation. And so, this is where you can test your ideas before you commit any significant money or energy to it. A lot of times, businesses will invest heavily into untested assumptions, and it's not ready for it, or they're not ready for it. And so, these are practical ideas that you can use AI tools to make smarter decisions earlier in your process and decide whether to invest money with it or not. This cost of skipping validation is kind of bad. You can lose a lot of money, you can lose a lot of time. Most people never really test it with real customers in real conditions. So when you skip validation, you get wasted money, wasted time, efforts put into projects that may be too big for you to deal with. Getting opinions ahead of time, figuring out what you want to do with feedback will save you time and money. It's not how to validate any decision, it's whether to make a new offering, a pricing strategy, a marketing channel, or a new business model. Get validation prior to investing. So again, these type of webinars are educational. I'll show you tools and case studies, but every business situation is going to be unique. Your context, your conditions, your execution will vary depending on your business. And so use this for a guide and not guarantees for success. So I'm Charles or Chuck Boyce. I founded Cibi Creative. I am a certified trainer and a strategist. I've worked with AI for the last 2 years. Prior to that, I spent about 5 years in digital marketing. Over the past decade and my career, I have spent with corporations and I have spent with startups. And so this is something that I love to use my experience to help people make their own decisions. I recently published a strategic AI guide, implementation guide for small businesses, which lets people figure out if AI is the right solution for your problems, or give you the background as to why projects may fail. So, as an attendee for today, I have a few different handouts that may help you in your business. Five fatal validation mistakes, powers of early validation, and some questions you may want to ask either a avatar focus group or just general questions that you would ask for your customers. So I'll give you the link after this is finished. So here's some examples of why you want to validate. Before you get into why or how to do it, these are ideas from the past, costly failures. For example, Edsel. The Ford Edsel came out, they thought it was a great idea, but they spent massive amounts of money on their demand, how to figure it out, how to design it, and they lost a lot of money because it was an ugly design and it didn't have the features that customers wanted. Xano Drone was a crowd-funded program. It had a lot of promises, much like a lot of the AI tools out today, but they didn't have a working prototype and they completely failed to deliver, again, losing $3.4 million in the process. QCat had no real problems and they wasted millions of dollars because it was a product that people didn't want or need. On the other hand, people who did validate, Airbnb, they started by renting air mattresses in their apartment to validate if people wanted to pay money for a room or a home rather than a hotel. Dropbox, this is a great example because they started with an explainer video. And just by having a video out there explaining what their suggestion, their idea was, they had 75,000 signups overnight. And then they realized, yeah, we're going to invest in this. Instagram is another great example. They started out as a meeting, what was it, a location-based meeting tool that if you showed up at a meeting that you would put your picture in there and show people that you attended. But what they found was that instead people were sharing all the photos of not necessarily showing that they were there, like I'm here now, come meet me at this location. It's more like, look at these pictures, and they completely changed the direction of what Instagram was from a location device to a picture sharing device. Great ideas. They validated with what the customers wanted, not what they think customers wanted. So in this scenario, I'm using a fictitious program called Focus Flow Pro. It's hard to say for some reason, but it's an AI productivity tool for coaches and consultants. And what I did was I used AI to come up with an idea, and I'll walk through how I came up with this, but it came up with this fictional product that offers AI scheduling, prompts, client tracking, all in one simplicity. Sounds like a great idea. Let's see how this works out in a validation scenario. So, why validation matters. If we want to launch this new product, Focus Flow Pro, we want to find out if it really is meeting the needs of coaches and consultants. What I ended up doing was I went to ChatGPT and used a prompt that said, list the top 5 risks for launching Focus Flow Pro without validation. And it came back and it said what your blind spots are going to be is there may not be market demand. It could be the complete wrong feature set. Pricing could be too high or limited adoption. You could be competitively blind. There may already be existing solutions out there that you're not aware of, and so you're just lost in the noise. And you could be wasting resources developing things that people just don't want. And so this again is something like the Ford Edsel. It's like, hey, this is a really cool idea for a car, and absolutely nobody wanted it. So the foundations are going to be for effective validation. It starts with an understanding of your customers. And the validation, what you want to do is, first of all, investigate the product. Use as much research as you can to see, are there existing tools, what workarounds. And once you come up with your idea, you're going to want to check many different areas, like Reddit threads or Facebook groups or Twitter discussions, industry forums. Look at product recommendation engines like Trustpilot or G2 or those type of businesses to see if there are applications or ideas already out there. And that would only be for products. So you may want to also validate ideas like, is this the right pricing structure? Is this the right marketing message? Is this anything that you have that will eventually cost you time and money? If you can validate ahead of time where those right decisions are made, do you want to spend the money? Do you want to spend the time? Is it going to be something that works in the marketplace? So for this, I used a prompt to come up with Focus Flow Pro, and I just said research common frustrations focused by coaches and consultants and small business owners, and look around the issues of scheduling, creating content, keeping clients accountable, and summarize the recurring themes. I had it search for LinkedIn groups, Reddit threads, small business communities, and it came up with 5 frustrations, and those were too much time spent, constant content creation of stress leading to inconsistency, demand or difficulty holding clients accountable, juggling multiple apps, all sorts of things like that. And so with that, that's how I came up with the idea for Focus Flow Pro. And then there's different validation methods that you may want to use. Best one, if you have customers existing, is to do one-to-one interviews. Talk to them, find their pain points, and their willingness to pay. And again, if this is a brand new idea, you're starting something from new, you're an entrepreneur who thinks that this idea is going to fly and you want to make a business out of it, you don't have customers, then you can do things like surveys and email and talk to, do your research on various forums and groups and find out if there is what their pain points are and if this is going to be an idea that works for them. You may want to do small scale experiments. Try with landing pages like both Dropbox and Airbnb did, is they talked to their friends and they came up with small scale prototypes and they tested before spending their money on the full development. Other ones are early adopters, just starting with minimum viable functions and products and seeing how that works. Again, don't invest in ideas or functions or features that people may not want or may not want to pay for. And so for this quick survey, what I did was I used a prompt to draft 3 survey questions to test customer interest in a pricing model for Focus Flow and focus on behavior and spending and not hypothetical interest. And so the questions that it came up with was the pain point on a scale of 1 to 10. Does client management and content creation slow your business growth? Is your spending, how much are you currently spending? Does this add to the cost or does it consolidate costs and make it more cost effective? Willingness to switch. If you have a single tool that could replace 3 or 4 of them or save you time, would you switch into this product? So this then was sent out to a group of people. And what you're doing is you're running the small scale experiments or you're just testing your core assumptions. You get some qualitative or quantitative data to see if there's any patterns or preferences. Then you can refine based on the feedback and addressing any gaps that you may have overlooked or eliminate things that are overkill. And then just constantly do this until you come up with a best approach based on all of the feedback that you're getting. So in this example, let's say we ran a survey from 40 coaches about this whole idea of focus flow. And out of that, 14 responses came back. And out of the raw data, you could then analyze that. And so when we got into an analysis, I said, summarize the key insights from these customer surveys and paste it in the data and suggest 3 possible steps for the development. This is using that customer feedback, and what they came back with is that $29 seems reasonable, but is there value tied to saving time and consolidations? Is there a free trial? Can there be a lower entry point to test it out? They wanted to have non-negotiables. It has to integrate with Google Calendar. It has to integrate with Zoom. It needs to have a mobile app. Those would be ideas that need to be in your program, and you may not have had some integration package. They need to see concrete examples or be able to test it to validate that the product will work. And going back into looking at, is it different enough from your competitors that they don't want another complicated or unreliable system. And so based on those insights, it was like, okay, so we have to prioritize these core integrations. And then we want to develop either demos or a freemium version of the product so they can test it and define the features and make sure that it works for them. And then considering, again, going to a freemium or a free trial at a lower tier to get them to test the product. And that is the approach that I took with the product that I wrote and put out, is to give a freemium version and make sure that it helps the people before they actually start spending money on additional functionality. So the other option, other than actually talking to real people or sending them surveys or sending them emails and getting feedback in that, person to person always works best. But again, if you're just starting out, you don't really have an idea, you don't have a group to focus on, other ways are focus groups. And the traditional focus group, is time consuming and expensive. It could require 2 to 3 weeks to not only recruit the participants, but to recruit your moderator, to find a facility. If you're not going to do it online, if you want to bring people into a room and talk to them face to face, your cost could be $3,000 to $10,000 per session. And the participants may require travel or logistical difficulties, the scheduling, conflicts, no-shows. If you're face-to-face, you could have what's called groupthink, and it could skew results, feedback from others, biasing their opinions. What I came up with for my app is a virtual focus group, and that is instant access to AI-powered customer avatars. It's a fraction of the cost, and it's available 24/7. No scheduling needed. And what this allows you to do is to get that quick feedback. Even though these are AI avatars, the avatars are trained on real customer data and behavior patterns. They have about 17 different attributes of their buying patterns and their cultural background and their where they work, how they work, what their values are, and things like that. And so out of these personas, what you can do is select them out of a library of groups and find what your ideal customers are to validate. And so what I want to do is to go in and show you VirtualFocus Pro. Let me move this out of the way here, and I'll just log out. So VirtualFocus Pro is just a way to get quick focus, a quick focus group, and it just allows you to enter in a description of your product and how it works, and really easy to use. And so when you first start, you will create an account and you get a freemium version. Premium version allows you to do everything. It just gives you 4 avatars instead of selecting, being able to select, and it doesn't allow you to write a full report. You'll have to copy and paste to actually get a good analysis. But if you start paying, it's based on credits, so 10 credits will get you for $10 and go on from there. Credits are used, it's 2 credits for every additional avatar and 5 credits for a full report. So when you log in, what you get is a very simple idea. You start a new session and you can view past reports. And so let me go off here. I want to go off screen for a second. And where am I here? I want to find a document here. So I have a document with some prompts so I don't have to, I'll cut and paste instead of writing everything out. And so, still working here, hold on. Okay, so if I want to start a new product, what you do is start a new session. The first thing you want to do is start a new session. If you stop midway through, you can always go back and start or continue on with your sessions. So what I'm going to do here is start a focus group called Focus Flow Pro Viability. And from here, I'm going to paste in an idea of the product. And so it's a subscription-based toolkit helping coaches, consultants, and businesses save time and money, deliver value to clients. It's running a coaching business means juggling calls. And so this is basically what it does. Suggests meeting times. It has prompts. It has client tracking. It's all in one simplicity. It's outcome. So now in this respect, this could be any product idea. It could be a marketing idea. It could be pricing ideas. Whatever idea you have, you can put this in here. And then what you can also do is if you just have a base idea, you can actually expand it with AI. And what that will do is it will go through and it will read your idea, and then it will say, give it a, well, this one didn't do a whole lot, but it gave a little more detail into what it may do. It might add some features or functionality, but if you want to go back to just your original idea, I'll paste that back in there. Now this is even though it says right in the beginning that it's for coaches, consultants, and small business owners, I will place that in there. And then here's where you have your questions. By default, this will just throw in some questions, but what we want to do is similar to the questionnaire. We'll say, what's the first impression of the product, which is good, but let's say instead of what's more valuable to you, let's say, would you consider buying this for $29 a month? And then we'll ask here, instead of this, we'll say what missing or unclear about the product description. And let's ask instead of how would you improve this, we'll go to if you were comparing this to competitors, what factors would you matter most to you? And finally, would you recommend this to others? Now you can also add more questions. You're not just limited to 5. You can add as many as you wish. Every time you do it, it's going to take more because depending on the number of avatars, each one of them will answer each question. So if you want to add additional context, you're capable of adding that in here. And then all you do is next. When you go to the next, here's where you select your avatars. Now, if you have the free version, it's automatically going to just pick 4 of them. You get 4 by default, and then you get 2 credits for every additional one. So for this group here, I'm going to look for anybody in coaching. And so let's go to a coaching, and we'll do a life coach, and we'll do, let's see, consultant. We'll do an IT consultant, and let's see if we have a small business. Here's a small business. And so by putting in these, it pulled up a bunch of 4 pages of avatars. And so I'll just randomly select a small business owner and a athletic trainer. Why not? A small business consultant and a career development coach. So I'll only select 4 here and then go on. This gives you the idea of where they are, what they're doing, and some keys to them. So here is a review of your product idea, the target audience, the questions you want, and the avatars you chose. You can always go back and change those. So when we start the focus group, what it's going to do is it's going to say, what's your first impression of a product? So here you can actually edit this. If you don't like that question, you can change it, but we'll just go with that. And what this is going to do is each person by person, it is going to give the results. And you can read these as they go along. It's like, hey, somebody gets it. I run a roofing company, juggle lots of calls. Or here, it sounds pretty interesting, right? I mean, I live for performance and metrics. Is there a tool that can streamline that? Or here, I'm pretty excited about this concept. So what I tried to do with this is try to make the answers unbiased and add some bit of skepticism. So if you're familiar with most LLMs, they try to be very gung-ho and agree with everything you say. And so I've tried to design this so it doesn't always sound overly optimistic. So would you consider buying this for $29 a month? Going on and on. It's going to go through each 4 of these. And it doesn't sound too bad. I mean, running a roofing call, probably end up saving me money. Scheduling, sounds great. It feels pretty reasonable, but I mean, everybody seems that it sounds pretty reasonable for $29 to get that type of functionality. Is there anything unclear about this? Go on again. Like the idea, it sounds like a lifesaver. I'm wondering if it really hits home with the pain points we face. Starting to dig deeper, a couple things popped into my mind. How do you feel more about AI scheduling actually works? So it starts giving a lot of skeptical ideas about, is this really going to be functional? Then if you, what factors are most important to you? Going on again. Compared to what it's seen, simplicity, efficiency, if it's too complicated, back to the old ways. Going on, I've stared at blank pages, it's a nightmare, focusing help me brainstorm. So people seem generally optimistic about the product, and then would you recommend it to others or why not? So again, you could do this via a survey or an email or other ways and get the same type of feedback, but you're dealing with the time restraints. How long is it going to take people to fill in a form? Are they going to want to fill in a form? Are they going to respond to your email? How long is that going to take? And then to analyze all the results. This is a way to, again, if you're coming up with an idea and you want quick feedback, here's now where you generate a report. Now, if you have a free version of this, you're not going to be able to generate a report. You'd have to copy all of these and dump them in and do your own analysis. But you still have all the feedback that you can use. So when you generate a report, it says it's going to cost you 5 credits. Goes through. And it's finalizing the report. It should take a few minutes. And so now, in a few minutes, 5 or 10 minutes of coming up with what you want reviewed, picking your avatars and everything about that, and then running the report. Within 10 minutes, you're going to get feedback on, is this going to be a product worth using? So going into the report, gives a session overview, gives you introduction, here's the participants, gives a first impression of everybody, here's the pricing evaluation, gives you, is it clear, are there missing elements, is it compared to your competitors, and then the likelihood of recommendation. So the overall is going to be about the user interface, the integration capabilities, the transparent, responsive customer support. It says it's well received, recognized for potential to streamline, addressing concerns about user friendliness, integration, customization will be key to achieving your results. And so right now, again, this gives you really fast feedback, all the responses that you have. And so this is how you would utilize a tool like VirtualFocus Pro to do as an alternative to real feedback. And again, in person is always the best, but it's also the most time consuming. So if you have the ability to do the face-to-face, the email, the surveys, and know your clients, do one-to-ones and get personal feedback, that's an ideal. But again, if you're running short on time and you want to get something out really quick, a tool like VirtualFocus Pro will really help make things go faster should you need the speed. So here's what I want to tell you is define your test. Make sure that you understand what you're validating. Is there market demand? What is your pricing? Are the features? Is there precision? Be as precise about what success looks like for you. Use surveys, landing pages, interviews, or AI-powered simulations to test inexpensively before you build anything complex. But again, the main point here is get feedback on the idea before you invest in any time or money on developing it. Always use both quantitative and qualitative feedback, find patterns, change your assumptions before you start building. And if you upgrade with VirtualFocus Pro, it just gives you, again, another tool. So validation isn't about proving you're right. It's about learning before you spend money on it. And the next steps here would be to just do it. Find your idea and test it. Don't waste money before getting feedback. Use whatever feedback tools you have. And then if you want to try VirtualFocus Pro, here's a link for that. And if you want to see how AI fits your business, I'm happy to help you with that by visiting my website and scheduling an appointment. And outside of that, just remember that the most expensive mistake in business isn't making ideas, is that it fails. Isn't it fails, it's the validation you never did. And so always get feedback before you invest. And that is the content of my presentation for people online. I will send you a link to the resources that you can download. And with that, I'm going to stop the presentation and take any questions that you may have. So, I'll stop recording.